All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the North American LCS expansion tournament. We've done a little bit of a caster swap out so we can better facilitate some of those objectives. But of course, I am Devin Pyrotechnics Young. He is TJ Azumo Sanders. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. How about that hype video, though? I'm really looking forward to IEM San Jose.
I am extremely excited for that, actually. And you know what? You guys can go ahead and check that out. If you would like to go there, be part of that as well, you can go ahead over to esl.gg/IEM San Jose. Tickets for picking up those. And we hope to see you guys there. But, you know, we got to get a little bit back into the games because we're thinking a little in the future. Right now, it's time for Enemy and Fusion. This is going to be an awesome, explosive matchup.
Yeah, but before we do that, we're going to go ahead and give you guys another brief tournament overview of how this whole thing works. We started out with 13 teams. We put them into 4 groups. They played in a best-of-3 group series, and one team out of each group moves on to make it into that live portion of this tournament that happens right here at the ESL Burbank Studios. And we have 3 teams already that are going to be participating. Curse Academy, Final 5, and we just saw Coast take it over LOL Pro. And this next match is going to determine the last and final team that's going to be competing with those 4 teams in that double elimination bracket come December.
Absolutely. So with that, those 3 teams are set. We're going to find out the 4th one, but we also want to take a look at how the bracket's updated, how we have those teams going to face off against each other when we do get to that offline portion of the event.
Yeah.
Taking a look at it in just a moment. But this is going to be a pretty epic matchup at the very end. I think this is a closely matched set. Last time it looked a little one-sided. LOL Pro fought back really, really hard. However, Coast just looked way too strong, and it's going to be terrifying to face them down for any team.
Yep. In this matchup that we have coming up right now, it's going to be Enemy taking on Fusion. And I think this is one of the fan favorites, at least Fusion is, and we do have picks and bans actually ready for this first game. So I know a lot of people are really excited to see MacNoon in that top lane matchup. CatGod versus MacNoon is probably going to be really exciting.
Yeah, this is a team, Enemy especially, has been proving itself for only being around 1.5 months. They have the infrastructure, they have the coaches, and they're confident that they can win this matchup. But no one has seen Fusion play yet. All the hype, all the mystery surrounds them right now, and it really is on Enemy to shut that down if they want to move on. Otherwise, it's going to be Fusion going forward.
Yeah, Fusion, though, they haven't been around that long either, and a little bit of a shakeup that we got word of a few days ago. They actually won't be using Gleed Glarbu, who is the support that they've been playing with for a majority of the time. They'll actually be using Chunky Fresh, who was he's actually a mid lane main who was one of the subs for Fusion. He's going to be playing the support down there with Nien Tanso for this best of 3. So we'll have to see how that's going to affect them. If it's going to affect them negatively, maybe Chunky Fresh will show up, and that synergy that they've been practicing with Nien Tanso will be a good thing, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, well, first pick, CatGod, they're really thinking about it. They'd go ahead and lock in the Maokai. It makes a lot of sense. They prioritized Rengar was banned away. That's sort of off the table immediately. They don't even want to pretend that they might be giving that one away. Lee Sin definitely going to be a big contested pick as well. But taking the tree away is a really big pickup. MacNoon's been playing a fair amount of that. We might see his Scion as well. But of course, Nintendo on Jarvan wouldn't be a terrible choice. The Janna also has been prioritized this entire tournament. We actually haven't seen much of Chunky's support play. We can just assume that he's going to play it competently.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see that both these teams have really done their research because these bans across the board are just solid. Gnar is one of CatGod's very best champions, and it's not something you want to give him. Also, Rengar, and Nori is just an absolute beast on Rengar as well. And he still has the Lee Sin available, which is also right in his wheelhouse. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go ahead and pick that up. But we're looking at it now. The Sivir picked up. Sivir was a pick that we saw a lot leading up to the expansion tournament in the Challenger scene. A lot of teams were picking that up, and it's great for those mid-game engaged type team comps.
Yeah, and you also mentioned, you were talking to me a little bit in the off time while we were in between the matches, just a little bit about what they might try to do on the side of Enemy if they get that Maokai first pick. You mentioned the Syndra is a likely pickup for Wolf.
Yeah.
Obviously, they go with that one. It's the makings of a chase composition here with the Sivir as well. For Ultimate, an incredible way to chase down teams. They have enough CC in there, and Fusion has to watch out. They're going to look at the Zed right now for Huhi. Also, Nien is eyeballing Lucien as well. I think this is a pretty solid comp altogether, but it's going to be based more on isolating targets, whereas you can already see enemies looking for that team fight that they love so much.
Yeah, Wolf is a very control mage-oriented player. He really loves the Syndra, the Orianna, the Xerath is really big for him as well. And on the other side, Hui is completely different. He's very aggressive, loves to play assassins. You can see alone from the Fizzban and the Zed pickup. Sometimes he can get a little bit too aggressive, though, and a lot of times he relies on Nintendo to be there for backup when he goes for those big plays in the mid lane. But Fusion is a team full of playmakers, so they shouldn't have an issue with that.
Yeah, which is funny about the way Enemy and Fusion are kind of formulated. Enemy is actually incredibly aggressive 4 out of 5 lanes. The only lane that's really not naturally like that is Wolf. He was the Wolf's Claw.
The Wolf's Claw.
And you used to see him, tossing those bouncing bombs all over the map. But yeah, it's funny. If you would actually were to swap them out, you'd have a complete dive team all around.
Yeah.
But Huhi has kind of been, it's sort of like a double-edged sword. Either he goes in, makes some huge plays, or he kind of goes in a little bit too far and gets caught.
Yeah, and the same sort of goes for MacNoon as well. And we actually don't get to see MacNoon. This is an interesting strategy for them. A lot of times we don't see the top lane pick last. It's almost always on blue side that it is picked last, but we'll have to see what he's going to go with. Sion has been a really big pick for him, and it's still on the table. I think a lot of their scrims and their ranked 5s matches to qualify for this tournament, he was going with that Sion.
Yeah, it's a very likely possibility. He's been playing it a ton. Definitely thinking about something a little bit different to start off. I don't think it's going to be the Poppy, but it's not the first time we've seen Poppy in the top lane.
Nope.
And I didn't think I'd say it. He's going to lock it in. Wow.
Whoa, okay.
Right.
So that's, wow, that was very unexpected, and this should be an amazing matchup up in the top lane. Cat God versus MacNoon on the Poppy.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting matchup, and you also take a look at his summoners too this time. He's getting ready to make a serious impact. He wants to lead the charge into the enemy team, and he should have no trouble doing it too. So they're going to match blow for blow. It looks like more of an isolation target team, especially with Zed being picked up by Huhi, but this is going to be, I don't even know what to say, man. Fusion and MacNoon in particular, they're pulling out all the stops for game number 1.
Oh yeah, and Poppy is a champion where you really have to go in a lane where you can be able to CS. And Maokai, not necessarily known to be a lane bully top laner, Maokai is sort of your free pass to pick whatever top laner you want, whatever top laner you feel comfortable with, and I guess Poppy is that choice for MacNoon, which is insane.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty awesome match, I think. But what do you guys think? We want to know. You can go ahead and tweet us at LOL Esports using the hashtag LCS expansion, and definitely spam a lot of the Poppy stuff. We like to see it. So with that said, this game's going to start off pretty wild. Enemy always makes sure of that.
Yeah.
However, I think they might even be scratching their heads here. They have a whole lot of analysts on staff, and I don't think anyone predicted the Poppy.
Yeah, MacNoon has always been known for those crazy pocket picks, and he can carry on basically any champion that he plays, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does exactly that on the Poppy. And we are into the match. Let's see what they're going to do.
Yep, starting it off, and he's going for that early sustain as well. Both top laners, not too surprising. Now, Cax has been a pretty strong player all round. Maokai, while not his very first pick, has been a really solid fallback, especially with the perma-banning of Gnar. So Enemy, they look to make some early level 1s. They almost always do it, and here we go. You see Inori actually going to get revealed for just a second by Nintendo, who's going to throw the flag in, and he sees, well, oh, that might be a little bit too far out. He is going to come to the rescue. They want to take this level 1.
Oh, wow.
MacNoon charges in. No fear. Cat God. Wow, the tree's already low, but MacNoon is the one who nearly gets picked off at that one, and they decide to back away. Wow, talk about early aggression.
That's really bold, too, because Braum is not usually a champion that you want to fight against early in the early game, especially at level 1, just because of that passive can really do work, especially to start cleaning up kills. But MacNoon, no fear whatsoever, and Poppy can be deceptively tanky at level 1 just because of her passive. The lower she gets, the harder it is to kill her because of that % damage reduction. So it's, I guess, no fear is MacNoon's style of play.
Yeah, once he hits 6, too, it'll be even harder for Enemy to team fight against this once he picks that target. And, it makes sense. There's so many things that can't really do much damage to him, and he can decide to chase somebody else down. But we've also seen that more aggressive style in the Poppy players we've seen so far, where they just decide, okay, 1v1 me. You have to now.
Look at this right now. This we saw last week as well. I believe it was in the Noble Truth game where they had Poppy at level 1 and they just did the early strat where he got first blood. This is a little bit different because they're going for a late invade, but there's really great ward coverage here from Enemy that's going to spot this whole invasion by Fusion, and they're going to be able to know exactly where they are. That's going to give Inori sort of that signal to go Enemy blue buff second, so he should be in okay position.
Yeah, definitely going to be able to just trade that one away, and actually they want to potentially go back to swapping it up. You see Cat God moving down towards the bot side. They might just give this one up and let him jungle roam for just a little bit. It's a bit of a throwback to that lane swap meta.
Yeah, so going for the lane swap, and that's something that we've seen a little bit this weekend, not so much last weekend, though. We'll have to see how they're going to react to it. A lot of challenger teams struggle to be able to deal with the lane swap, but we said it before, Enemy has that support staff. They haven't been around that long, but they're improving rapidly, and I'm sure they're going to be able to deal with this just fine.
Of course, Fusion has banked on there. Not just immense popularity for all of their players, but the fact that they all are very strong in their positions. And we've seen them not necessarily play together, but we've seen them play on different teams. We know those styles of those players. And so far, they seem to be matching pace, definitely trying to control the tempo of this early game and not let enemy get off on the foot they want.
Yeah, this is a little bit interesting, though, because Poppy is a champion that really needs to get going. I mentioned earlier she loves to go in a lane where she can sort of sit there and CS to sort of get rolling. But right now, McNoon is going to be really far behind. He's going to have to go into that 2v1 lane and try and just pick up as much CS as possible.
He's going to get dove here.
And he's getting dove, and this is just really dangerous.
He is caught between a tree and a tower, and there's a sapling popping him down a little bit more health. They're going to take their time, be methodical about it. Yeah, he's going to get that, try to get away as fast as he can, slow down the Winter's Bite. Body drop tanking it, that's going to be first blood. 3.5 minutes in, and it goes over to Cat God. McNoon did not know what hit him.
Yeah, what a plan there by enemy to sort of predict that teleport from McNoon, knowing that he's got to get to lane as Poppy, knowing that he's going to go for that teleport, and just setting up that dive absolutely perfectly. They barely even took any damage from that. They pick up a nice first blood, and a Poppy that's behind, that's bad news for Fusion.
Poppy that's behind might stay behind, but they're going to try to go back to a little bit more helpful roles for him right now, as you see Nintendo and Chunky making moves down there, leaving Nien Tanso alone. Well, he's been in the top lane before. I think he can handle it. Yeah,
this is sort of has been his home for the past couple years. He was regarded as one of the best AD carriers in North America a while ago in like the first split of the LCS when he played for Marn, and it was sort of the same champion pool, minus Lucian because he wasn't out, but he played a lot of Corki back then. It was sort of a similar style of AD carry as we're seeing now, so he shouldn't have much trouble adjusting the AD carry role, and he's been playing it for quite a while now with Fusion.
He touched on a pretty good point that it sort of kind of hits his meta the way they want it now. Nintendo jumping onto Otter and Body Drop. They're just going to look straight for him, but they might find a tastier Braum. Exhaust is down. They might just settle for the support, but McNoon is not happy with just that. He's going to jump onto Otter. He has to move away from the Boomerang Blade, though. That can be a little deadly at level 2.
Yes, they are going to pick up the kill on the Body Drop, put a little more pressure on that. But at the same time, you see Inori going up to that mid lane, putting some pressure. And these lanes from Fusion are starting to fall a little bit behind. It seems like Cat God's in a little bit better position than McNoon. But he's still struggling to get CS as well. So these top laners, I mentioned it yesterday, it just is not very fun.
Oh, they're going to chase Otter all the way. Spell Shield doesn't even matter. He's going to have to pop his flash and his heal. Still ticking away. They want to commit to this one, but they don't have quite enough damage. Body Drop doing the best he can to save the life of his carry again, and now Inori's joined the party. Fusion is caught behind a tower, and you see Wolf incoming. Inori could be in trouble, though. He is actually just going to jump on flash and jump away. Still goes down. That's Nintendo picking up the kill. This is haywire in the beginning. It's actually going to be Chunky finally going down. They pick up another one, taking down Nintendo. It's a double kill over to Otter. They're looking for McNoon, and they should be able to find him. But Hui around the side, he's a flipping ninja.
Yeah, Hui picks up a kill on the back. So at the end of that, it is pretty much a 2-for-2 trade because looks like McNoon was able to get away from that, but so much aggression early on, and that's sort of what we expect from these teams. We talked about the explosive playstyle of both of these guys, and it makes for a really exciting matchup. And it looked really bad for Fusion there. That you said they were caught behind a turret, they were low, but Inori sort of was on the wrong side of that team fight, and that's never what you want to do, especially when you're facing a Poppy, because she can turn a fight so quickly, especially in an area where there's so many walls for her to knock you against.
Well, that and Hui had all the time in the world to wander down there and just make the play that made it worth. Now, Nien trying to be deceptively low here as Chunky Fresh comes in. Cat God's having none of that, though. Walks away from the Howling Gale, and we didn't touch on this, but it's been a pretty brutal slugfest up there, considering one of the champions is ranged.
Yeah, that's a little bit ridiculous, and you can tell Nien, since he's had a lot of time to free farm for most of this beginning 6 minutes of this game, he's actually got almost double the CS of Otter because Otter's sort of been involved in a lot of skirmishes. Fusion's been doing a lot better of a job disrupting that AD carry farm where enemy just sort of sent Cat God up there and said good luck.
Uh-oh, McNoon focusing him out yet again. He's got nowhere to go, and he does have the Ghost, but not going to use it. One more Boomerang Blade knockback, and Otter's got 3 kills. I guess he doesn't need CS when he's got that many in his pocket already.
Yeah, I'm sure if you look at that gold, it's probably about even. They both have BF swords now, so it's going to be even. And McNoon, he's having a rough time this game. He's just getting absolutely focused, and that's a great plan from enemy.
Yeah, I think they're recognizing the fact that the Poppy may be some kind of secret weapon. Not going to even give it a chance. Yeah,
they might have even scouted it. You said earlier, maybe they weren't expecting it, but right now it seems like they know exactly how to deal with it, and they're doing whatever they can to make sure that McNoon is not a part of this game.
No, they're making sure Wolf may not be a part of this game. Nintendo and Hui He's going to be able to get the Unleashed power off, but that's going to be a nice pickup there, waiting patiently in the brush. So Fusion, yes, they have had some troubles. McNoon especially has been focused out here, but Fusion are answering back kill for kill where they can. The gold is dead even right now, and this is anybody's Dragon. Fusion's going to start it up. Yeah,
Fusion just had a little bit better vision control. Wolf was trying to gain it back there, and that's where he met his downfall. But with that pick, Fusion's going to be able to pick up an easy Dragon. Enemy is not going to give this one up without a fight, though.
Yep, this might be pretty close here. He could go in, doesn't actually pick off the steal, but Inori will get the jump off, and now it's body drop pretty low. Otter, unbreakable. They're still going on this one. The end, finally going to find body drop, and that will be the Dragon and the kill. Inori going to stealth out of town, and Fusion blinking health bars, but they manage it.
Yeah, not only do they pick up the Dragon and a kill in that situation, McNoon was up in the top lane with teleport ready, and being able to pick up free farm himself. So he's starting to get to that point. He's hit level 6. They have a really great pick comp here. The back line of enemy is just going to get absolutely wrecked in these team fights with a Poppy and a Zed. And now that McNoon's getting some farm under his belt, he could start to get scary.
Yep, and they have left him alone for just a little bit as he's taking his place back up in the top. So CatGod's perfectly happy to just have a little bit of a jungle slap fight with him. McNoon now actually getting caught out just a bit as Wolf makes the roam up top, and Nori on the jump. And again, McNoon's going to go down pretty soon, but he might delay it for just a second. Oh my goodness, can he take down Nori? Yes, he can. Gonna fall down, but to make it a 1-for-1, hashtag worth.
Yeah, that's definitely worth for McNoon, and you could tell just by his positioning, he was all the way by the blue buff, and enemy did a great job of closing on him. But he ended up trading 1-for-1. Now, you do get the assist over to enemy, but when you're as behind as McNoon is in this game right now, you pick up anything that you can, and he was just drawing attention away from everybody else on the map. Hui's starting to pull ahead of CS in the mid lane, so starting to look up for Fusion.
Yep. When you've got diplomatic immunity, you can pretty much go wherever you want.
That's indeed correct.
Now, Hui has been doing a pretty solid job, I would say, outside of his lane. Those 2 kills, the roams. He's done pretty solid for himself on the Zed. It's hard to 1v1 somebody like Wolf who's going to stay safe. Yes, he's on Syndra, a zone control mage, somebody who can potentially assassinate you, but Zed typically is going to be really useful for these roams. So we've seen Hui play to that condition. We've seen Nintendo do the same thing. And across the board, the kill participation is pretty solid for everybody but Nien, who's just kind of been doing his own thing now. You see Chunky and Hui making moves down, but Otter and Body Drop, they know what's up.
Yeah, enemies starting to fall to their back foot right now. You can tell that they're playing very passively. And now
Nintendo. Oh, he waits for the spell shield to be already down. The ult is popped as well, so Otter trying to save Body Drop for just a minute, return the favor. But again, Fusion diving deep now. McNoon could be in trouble yet again. And Inori jumping in there with CatGod. He just wants to focus at Poppy all day, and he's going to be able to pick up another kill.
So much focus on the McNoon, but at this point, it's sort of to a fault, because while they're getting McNoon behind, it looks like this is what Fusion wants, at least in this point of the game, because they're just getting objectives all across the map elsewhere and really putting Otter and Body Drop behind. You can tell in the end now, 30 CS up with 1 kill under his belt.
And wow! Nintendo, no fear. He's going to jump the Cataclysm, and Otter's got nowhere to go, no escapes, and he's going to go down. Nintendo might fall, but wait a minute, Body Drop's low. CatGod, can he get the kill? He might be able to sapling, but what the flash away? CatGod now, he has nowhere he can go as well, with Nien and Chunky Fresh just chunking him out, I suppose, would be the best description.
Yeah, and Fusion is just sort of taking control of this game right now. Inori's going to try and get this up in the top lane, but McNoon's going to be here to stop him from pushing any further. And this is just starting to get pretty disastrous for enemy. And Hui is just sort of playing right into the style of Wolf. We talked about it earlier. Wolf is not a player that likes to play aggressive. He's a very control mage-oriented, very control-oriented player. Loves to play passive, just farm up and let his team make the plays around him and just be that sort of supportive mid laner. But against an aggressive player like Hui, you cannot afford to do that. He's doing okay in CS, but really he's just sort of staying by his turret and just getting the farm that he can. He's not making an impact anywhere else on the map.
Yeah, and they really haven't been wanting to do that safe game. They've been wanting to make the aggressive plays all around. And you can see enemy, yes, they're falling behind. It's not as big of a deficit as we've seen in some of the games this weekend and in this entire tournament so far, but you can see the difference in how they're playing this out now. Enemy trying to be a little more cautious. They know that they take their win conditions very seriously. They decide to make early plays, try to get little edges, and win it out in that mid game. But Fusion has not given that to them. They've turned it around. They've answered back kill for kill, and they've answered back tower for tower. And CatGod could be in a little bit of trouble here. Nintendo has been all over the map. And speaking of not just him, everybody from Fusion's on backup duty
he's
now.
Coming in from behind
here.
here.
Cax, he might be in trouble. He's going to be able to walk it out. He's a big tree, but this tower will not last so long. Fusion decides to start this mid game early, and enemy, they're just looking a bit scattered.
Yeah. looking a bit disorganized here, and we just got a glimpse of the vision on the bottom side of the map here, and enemy has no vision on their own side of the jungle, and that just allowed Nintendo to just really just free roam all the way through that red side of the map. You can see all the wards that he placed, and they're really setting up their pushes nicely right now. All 5 members are in the top lane pushing this, and enemy is not even going to be close to going even on this base race.
Yeah, they are not all in position. Fusion says go, and they hit the gas. That's going to be 3 towers down. They've cracked the inhibitor shell. It's 13 minutes in. A massive oversight for enemy. Just completely stabs him in the back.
Yeah, and that's just great planning by Fusion and just great vision control. I can't stress it enough. You look at that blue side of the map, enemy's blue side of the map. That's Fusion's blue side of the map, basically. They control 3/4 of that jungle area, and that just allowed them to really just surprise them, put all 5 members into the top lane. They have a really great fast-pushing team because of their mid-game power spikes with Lucian, Zed, and Jarvan being able to hit that turret with the Damascene Standard. And they just completely OG in rotations.
Just about. Now, enemy, they can answer back on this one, but they need to start looking together for those fights while they're still relevant. They're down a significant amount of gold. The dragon is up in 10 seconds. This could be the next big fight. A lot of these have been skirmishes that have started out as 3v3s, 3v4s, but now enemy is looking to set up for this one. But they have a naked inhibitor already. There's so many options for Fusion here. They're starting to muscle out enemy, and they're just looking to start this one off, or at least deter enemy from even going anywhere.
Yeah, Fusion focus a lot of their energy on that blue side of the map, and so they got to be really careful around this dragon because this is an area where they don't have vision control. Right now, they have to know that they're a little bit ahead, but they can't know that they're at 3K gold ahead, and they can't really predict what enemy is going to be able to do without the vision of them. So it's going to be tough for them. Stay as a team is going to be what they're going to try and do and try and muscle out some vision here, but this looks like it's going to be enemies.
Yeah, I think they managed to get it around in a perfect timing, but Magnoon wants to come in here. Honori's on the wrong side of the pit. Magnoon jumping forward. CatGod, he is pretty low already. Whoa, Magnoon goes down, and he doesn't even get a chance to ult off, and Fusion has to bail out of town. Body drop leading the charge, and here they go. Honori into stealth mode. Can he get the jump on? He might just disengage from this one, but that didn't seem to be well coordinated by Fusion.
Yeah, Magnoon stayed in a little bit too long. I don't think he expected to get CC'd that much. That's usually a great plan when you have a Poppy. Send her in, get a lot of focus onto the player that's on Poppy, and then use that diplomatic immunity to just sort of disrupt the other team and allow your team to get in position and come in for the fight. But Magnoon just got absolutely destroyed there, and he's going to TP to this ward over by blue buff.
He really wants this blue buff.
Yeah, that's an interesting use of teleport.
Well, if it grabs him that buff, that's what he's looking for. Now, there was a pretty solid minion wave on that top side that CatGod's going to have to go back and clear. Body drop, popping the ward down, knows that buff was freshly cleared away. And now Nintendo and Chunky Fresh looking to close the trap. The tower's still up, and here comes Hoovy and Nintendo. Oh my goodness, that is going crazy right there. They managed to pop on her. It's Magnoon picking up the kill. They jump on Wolf and Body Drop. They've got nowhere to go as well. Hoovy with the killing spree, and they've juggled the aggro so effectively here. Fusion going to take down a tower, take down 3 kills. An enemy, man, that's like a blind sucker punch.
Yeah, they are struggling right now to find a foothold in this game. Fusion just collapsing on them so quickly, taking out 3 members just as fast as Fusion came into that fight. So this is just not looking good whatsoever for enemy, and they really need to just sort of get vision control of their own jungle and be able to see these flanks coming, because a Jarvan Poppy combination, they're going to flank you every single time they're looking for a fight. They even spotted Magnoon out by their blue buff moving around towards the mid lane. They just sort of stayed a little bit too long, and this is just an enemy team that's looking lost.
Yeah, hit and run warfare from Fusion. They get in, they grab the kills, they grab 2 towers, and they get out completely scot-free. This has been the story of the game so far when they've taken those successful fights. It's just a series of raids. They don't need to team fight.
Yeah, and this is sort of how in a game where 2 explosive teams are battling it out, what happens is they both try and make aggressive moves early, and then the one team that comes out on top is usually the team that dominates the game. And this is sort of an accelerated game from what we're used to. It's only 17 minutes in.
Oh boy, body drop. He could be in trouble. Inori already getting on out of there, but they sacrifice the support player on enemy eSports. Fusion, again, every single time they smell blood, they go right on in, and they're able to take a little edge every single time. Enemy, we mentioned, again, they tried this early game. They haven't gotten too far with it. Now CatGod's in trouble. He's jumping on him. The tree, they shredding his bark down. That's Magnoon with a killing spree, 4 and 5 on the Poppy, and they're looking for this inhibitor tower. You mentioned it. It's 17.5 minutes in. They're looking to take down an inhibitor. This is nuts.
They also have the inhibitor turret down up in the top side as well, so This is Fusion just absolutely destroying this map, and you said it, as soon as they smell blood, they do not hesitate one bit to go in for a fight. And not even on a Maokai, who we went in and this team was just like, okay, we're here, we're following up. They're just picking up kill after kill after kill. You look at the gold, it's not a blowout game. Enemy is still doing an okay job of keeping themselves in, but at the same time, we mentioned such an accelerated game. 5K may not be that big of a lead at 25 minutes, but at 18 minutes, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it doesn't even feel like we're watching what should be the mid game. It's getting closer and closer by the second to looking what could be a closeout. Now McNoon going up to the top to clear some waves out. They have been able to make the dives on and make those plays, but there was a good job by enemy to stop that turret from going down. And, you know, the big weakness here has been when Fusion goes in, sometimes not everybody is going to follow up. McNoon dove in on that dragon or post-dragon, and that bit him in the behind. They've had a couple of similar issues just with diving and not really clearing the objectives first, but if they're able to execute that, enemy just doesn't have a response.
Yeah, and enemy looking for a little bit of a sneak attack on a McNoon here. They have not let up their pressure on McNoon this whole game. It seems like enemy isn't playing against Fusion. They're only playing against McNoon. That's what it seems like.
There are 4 other players to deal with on the team, and they definitely don't want to let those ones go. But they have punished McNoon quite a bit. 5 deaths, the highest on his team, the highest in the game, shared with Body Drop, who's pretty much been the sacrificial Braum this time.
Yeah. McNoon is such a thrifty player, it seems. He's such a unique top laner in the regards that he's not afraid to put pressure and sacrifice himself to be able to allow his team to get more pressure or more objectives on the other side of the map. And you see him doing just that. He got shut down super hard early, but still managed to keep himself in the game, still managed to put pressure on the map despite being behind on a champion that doesn't play well from behind, and is still managing to do a great job of contributing to these teamfights in a really fantastic way.
Not to mention his ability to dodge skill shots is pretty awesome right there. You can see just tiny split-second decision-making, and that can make the difference between just taking a little bit of extra abuse in any of those team fights. Incredible mechanical skill, and that's what Fusion's relying on all across the board on their members, and it is paying off for them. They say, okay, guys, you can all get in, you can do what you can, pick the kills off, and then we will push from there because no one will be around to stop us.
Yeah, the one thing that Fusion has to be careful of, though, is they can't let up on this pressure that they're putting on the map because enemy's team comp is great at capitalizing on mistakes. The Sivir ultimate on the hunt is such a great tool at closing gaps and cleaning up fights. And also they have the Kha'Zix. Syndra is great for that as well. So Fusion just has to make sure that they keep applying this pressure. It's still early in the game, 20 minutes, but I can tell that they're going to want to end this game as early as they possibly can. They've broken that shell. They have the top lane inhibitor turret down. So it's just a matter of controlling the rest of the map and capitalizing on any mistake that enemy is going to make by moving out of their base without vision.
Well, they've already moved out of their base. They had the vision, but they may not have the positioning now. Nintendo's going to get fired down into Nori, but meanwhile on the back line, Hui is able to get the death mark onto a Nori. McNoon charging forward. Chunky Fresh, how long is he going to stay alive? Hui finally takes down Body Drop, and it's going crazy. Otter follows onto Chunky Fresh. It's a 1 for 2 so far, and Nori cannot get involved. CatGod jumping onto McNoon, and he actually goes down immediately. 2 for 2 right now. McNoon on the chase, and they're going to settle for that one, but Fusion in position to pick this dragon.
From 0-3 to now being on a rampage, McNoon is just being so disruptive in these team fights. As soon as that diplomatic immunity's popped, it's so hard to be able to communicate to switch off of the Poppy and switch onto someone else and have your focus fire be enough to take someone down. But McNoon is just doing so much damage in these fights, and also Hui as well is being able to get to that backline and disrupt. And that didn't look like a great team fight for Fusion from the beginning, but they managed to salvage it, clean it up, and now they have a solid about 8,000 gold lead at 21 minutes, and they're still in a fantastic spot in this game. The bright point here for enemy has been Otter. His positioning's been pretty good in these fights, but he came late, and he didn't have the on the hunt. He didn't have the ability to help engage or disengage first fight. So, and that cost enemy in the long run.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Now, Fusion has been, again, banking on these superior team fights of theirs. So far, so good. They have a better sustain in the 22-minute game, and they've been able to pick up quite a lot of dragons. They've gotten the objective lead that they've wanted, and that's definitely banking them ahead for the later on in the game. But as you mentioned, they have a ticking timer right now. They keep this aggression up. Enemy, gonna look to do the same thing.
Yeah, this is just going to be harder and harder for enemy to deal with, though, because Hui has hit that point where he's got those 2 core items on Zed, the Blade of the Ruin King, as well as the Yuma's Ghost Blade. It's going to be a nightmare for whoever he decides to go on. bright point for enemy. Wolf does have that Zhonya's Hourglass, but there is no Mikhails. There's nothing to protect Otter from that, so it could be really dangerous for him to show his face early in these team fights. And Magnoon as well, you have 2 threats that are going to be in your backline doing work, and at the same time, they have a Janna, which is sort of that quintessential disengaged support. So Fusion has done a great job of sort of balancing out the areas of their team and just, I mean, controlling the game enough to where enemy just doesn't have many options going into these fights.
Oh boy. The unseen team.
Oh no.
Just might be the deadliest. Body drop. Ooh, be careful. They don't know where they are. They might think it's a Baron. Body drop is not on the worst champion to be able to check this, but ooh, okay. Fusion gets a little impatient there. That could have been a pretty crazy fight, or at least a very quick one.
3 members of Fusion were actually behind Body Drop on that. If they were able to spot him out, they could have collapsed really quickly.
Now,
so he's pretty fortunate.
Enemy looking to try and shove this one up here because they don't see Fusion at home, but they're going to flank onto Inori. How fast can he go invis? Actually going to burn his flash immediately, but he's in a ward. Culling comes out. Magnoon on the chase as well. They'll be able to disengage this one. Oh, Hui from the back, but they're going to catch him anyways. Deathmark is down. They find Wolf, but there's a shutdown going over to Inori. They have a number advantage, but Wolf's already gone. Goodbye, Magnoon. He's taken down the whole team. Nien's in the party as well. Magnoon's going to go down. That's a double kill for Inori. It is a 4-3 game right now, but Intendu looking to even that one up. Shutdown gold going over to him. They're looking for more. They want to find Cax. He's in the middle, but wait, Body Drop, Chunky Fresh, reset the team fight, he says. Body Drop going down. Otter running away fast as he can, and Fusion not about to let him get out of there. Intendu looking for the kill.
What a clutch Monsoon there from Chunky Fresh, just absolutely disrupting the remaining 3 members. That was a legitimate 3v3, but he pushed him back, split him up, and they couldn't collapse enough to be able to focus down on that team fight. Magnoon did just enough at the beginning of that fight to allow his team to catch up to him, take out a member of enemy, and then sacrifice his life once again for his team. The one thing is, Nien really has to focus on getting in and out of the fights better. You can see he sort of lags behind, doesn't choose the right time. He hasn't died in this fight, or in this game yet, but he's just really not having as much of an impact for his team as he could be. Still though, Fusion has a huge lead in this game, and enemy still struggling to find that foothold.
Yeah, and they've been able to climb back in a little bit, but it takes some serious mental fortitude for a team to be down 1 member like that just happened, and then to have Poppy charge in. I mean, you never expect that when you're down a member that, oh, they're going to just double back and engage us. And that is what Fusion has done consistently, and they've done it so well. They get nearly the ace for that one. Cax was the only one that made it out alive. No, it didn't turn into an objective, but a couple more fights like that, enemy will have a lot more to worry about than a couple towers down.
Yeah, they want to not fall into that pattern of evenly trading kills in these team fights, or almost evenly trading kills in these team fights. Because the longer this game goes on, the less percentage gold they'll be up. And the longer this game goes on, the more chances enemy is going to have to find that mistake and to capitalize on that mistake from Fusion that they're going to be more likely to make as the later this game goes. You could tell enemy now feeling a lot more confident after that fight. And going here to
all
teleport.
The same, Intendu's going to set something up. He might go down, but we've seen this one before. Here's the flank. It's Magnoon, and Hui's in the picture. They're not going to jump for Inori. They want Otter. He's going to try to run away from this one, but Magnoon is going to pick up Inori, and they're going for more. Wolf running away from him as fast as he can, but you can't catch the Poppy, trying to send him back. Meanwhile, they pick off CatGod as well. It's a double kill from Magnoon, and they've traded 1 for 4. They don't even need the tower. Body drop, that's going to be the ace. Hui picking that one up, and they're heading straight for Baron.
Nintendo, the only person to fall in that fight from Fusion. Magnoon just doing so much work on the backline, and that's so tough to deal with. Enemy, they trade even in a fight, and then they run straight down the middle with so much confidence, but Fusion just say, you know what, we'll just flank you from behind with Hui and Magnoon. Nintendo's going to come up from the front, and they get an ace and a Baron just for 1 kill. So that pretty much solidifies Fusion's lead in this game. Yeah, this is
12,000 gold game.
That's
and
ridiculous.
This has been what Nintendo's done the entire time. Goes in, Cataclysm, buys enough time for his team to get there. I don't care if I die, I'm going to get my team an ace. His kill participation is absolutely off the hook. 21 out of 24 kills he's been a part of.
Yeah, you can sense a little bit of desperation in enemies' play here. They didn't really have much vision control over the map. They didn't spot the flanks coming around from Hui on that Zed, or from Magnoon even. They just said, you know what? We might as well just try and go for this mid turret, and it ended up being not a great
Wolf
idea.
As well. Oh my goodness! He gets the Zhonya's off just in time, and they pop Hui, but man, these are so back and forth, even with the solo kills now. So a bit of a mistake from Fusion's mid laner, but it was a very close thing. The Zhonya's will be down. Wolf can't get involved in this Dragon, so it's still effectively a 4-for-4, and it looks like Fusion's going to try to start this one up.
They do have the Baron buff, but a 4v5 is hard nonetheless, no matter how far ahead you are in
they're
gold.
Going to pick it off, though. They're going to find this fight. And Nori, he could go down. He's been melting. They squish the bug. Once again, McNoon in the front.
Where's Wolf?
Body drop. He's pretty low as well. Wolf is running as fast as he can to get back to this one, but it might be too late. It's a double kill for McNoon again. I feel like I'm repeating myself every single time here. Otter, he could go down. Triple kill for McNoon on the bottom, and they're going for more. And the Entonso is going to pick that one
He's
up.
going for the
It's
quadra.
only Wolf. McNoon wants it. He's going to go for it. One more shot, and he does it. The quadra kill for McNoon, and they're heading for the base.
The quadra kill Poppy, and they actually have an open inhibitor turret up in this top lane. This is going to be a definite push. They might even try to end the game here. Might be a little bit bold, but they have the Janna for the shield. It looks like they're going to back off, but what a team fight from them. And Wolf was nowhere to be found. He was so low from that engagement in the mid lane with Zed, and he had to back off. And that should have been enemy's Q. I mentioned a 5v4 is not a great idea when you have Baron, but a 4v4 when you have Baron is exactly what you want. They did not hesitate to pull the trigger, and McNoon ends up with a quadra kill for it.
Speaking of no hesitation now, they really want to answer back. They find Chunky fresh, and Inori actually got sidestepped a couple times there before they managed to take him down. All the same, Fusion is just rocking and rolling through this later game. It's 29 minutes in. They're going all for broke, and enemy has to find an answer to go back into this.
Yeah, and I just can't think of much that's going to bring them back into this game, despite Fusion just having multiple lapses in judgment over and over again. They're going to have to really look for mistake after mistake if they're going to want to come back into this one. It's getting dangerously close to a 20K lead, and it's been a long, long time since I've seen a team come back from that.
Yeah, and enemy is not the team that typically will make those plays, but you look at this side of Fusion.
Okay.
The damage is buffed just a little bit.
Yeah, he popped the Umos to get those creeps.
Yep.
Wanted to take that CS
back
away.
In 45 seconds. It's all right.
Yeah.
They're feeling pretty confident right now.
That's McNoon.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, same thing with Poppy Pick. It has been just a miraculous run for him. As much as they've tried to keep him down, he's come back thundering 12-6, and that quadra kill. You could see those health bars melting, and this is an incredibly high damage output right here. And I really don't think enemy expected this. They tried their best to keep it down for as long as they could, but Fusion has been unleashed here.
Yeah, it seemed like they had a great plan going into this one, saying, hey, let's do what we can to focus McNoon, do what we can. Oh, Nintendo could be caught!
He might have a little bit enough tank stats to stay alive, though, and actually, they don't take too much of a bite out of him, thanks to the shields from Chunky Fresh.
Yeah, he's pretty tanky at this point in the game. He's approaching 5 items dangerously close on that Jarvan, so he's going to be tough to take down. 22 assists as well.
You see what
Not too shabby.
You see what enemy's trying to do here, just to see if they can pick off little targets so they can take the number advantage before the fight resets in favor of Fusion, and that's really their window back into this game. If they can get that, they have a couple of easy avenues into the base of Fusion, but there's nothing else on the map to take. There's 2 outer turrets, one remaining, or rather an inner turrets, one remaining on the top, one on the bottom, and they could try to march down mid, but it would be such a close call. They've done their best to wrestle a bit of vision back into this one, but Fusion's not making it easy.
Yeah, they had a small window there, enemy did, while they didn't have super minions pushing up on that top side of the map. Grouping as 5, trying to make something happen, but it's just so hard for them to even find a pick right now. And who are we going in?
He's going for a Nori, and he might just spot the bug once again. He's going to be able to get out of that one quite easy before we can even finish the sentence at this point. And they're going all in. McNoon in the back of the base. Wait a minute, this isn't our base, this is your base apparently. Wolf gets the Zhonya's off, but it doesn't even matter. Godlike kill for McNoon. They're jumping. Otter with the shield. I don't think it's going to matter. Cat God going down. Everybody is up, and just McNoon finally falling over. The towers are going down. This one is all over. And enemy eSports dropping game number 1. Fusion looking strong in 31.5.
What a performance there by Fusion, and especially McNoon. I don't think any of us expected the Poppy pick coming out in the very first game there. But wow, what a performance. He was shut down early on, started the game 0-3, was struggling to find CS in that early laning phase, and was dove multiple times in that early game. Managed to come back, picks up a quadra kill. I think he ended with something like 14 kills in that game.
He was absolutely insane on that Poppy pick, and it's not the only champion that he likes to go that hard on. So Fusion coming up really strong. This is the first competitive game we've seen them play, and Enemy Esports was not a slouch of a team. They have played incredibly powerfully all the way through their short tenure together as a team, taking second place in the Black Monster Cup, training very rigorously. They have an extensive support staff, but I don't think anyone can prepare you for what Fusion just threw at them.
Yeah, both of these teams, we mentioned it earlier, very explosive types of teams, but it seems like Fusion just outgunned them in that game. They got that lead a little bit in the early to mid game, and then they just never let go. And that's sort of the fault of teams that play that mid game explosive type fights. They sort of have trouble closing out games or finding ways to get back into games. They can snowball really well. They can do really well in that mid game when they're ahead. But as soon as they fall behind, they struggle a lot, and it seems like enemies suffer from that a little bit. But wow, did Fusion impress me in that first match.
Yeah, that was definitely the hype that we were looking for. And now getting into game number 2, Enemy has a lot of answers to try and come up with. It will be on the red side this time, and Fusion has to be feeling confident off the back of that one. So we'll see what the picks and bans can tell us after this. There's quite a lot that has to be taken away, and I think might even merit a Poppy ban at this point.
I would not be surprised, to be honest. I think the picks and bans are going to go pretty similar. Taking the Rengar away from Inori, I think Inori is very deserving of the #1 or #2 Rengar NA title, along with Impaler, I would say. And that's a champion that you really never want to give him because of how high impact he is and finding those mid-game initiations. Surprised he didn't go with the Lee Sin last game, because that's another one of his great champions, and it wasn't picked or banned.
Yeah, I think that this time around, they weren't prioritizing so much on the jungle because they knew if they could get the catch in. So now, like over on the other side, you have Nintendo. He's played an incredibly good Jarvan game. That's been kind of more of his go-to. Obviously, some of his prior big junglers, Elise, got the nerf, wasn't really as big of a pick, and they've been working around these catch and just second win kill compositions. And I think also a statement has to be made for who he's Zed, and it's very much a no-brainer to ban that one away this time.
Yeah, and that was a very high impact pick for them last game. One thing, the Soraka pick is a little bit interesting. Now, Body Drop has been known to play quite a bit of Braum, quite a bit of Thresh, and I've seen him practicing quite a bit of Soraka lately as well. That's sort of been not a secret pick, but a pocket pick that supports are playing when maybe some of the disengaged supports are banned out, but you don't really see it banned very often.
No, definitely not, and that's a curious thing as well. They're just kind of worried about that maybe, or rather they don't want to use it in their comps to say, okay, we can take this one away. It's a confidence thing at the end of the day, and also the Jarvan ban away. This is going to force Nintendo onto another tier of junglers for him, and now we'll see what they do take off for Fusion. That instantaneous Corki pickup should be a pretty strong choice, and it's also a good takeaway from Otter.
Yeah, definitely, and Nintendo is sort of a jungler who, back in his LCS days, he played a very supportive style of jungler where he really, when he was on Coast, tried to support Zion, Spartan, and Shifter as much as possible and get them ahead because they were both carry-oriented solo laners. On Fusion, though, he's actually transformed into a very aggressive playmaking jungler, which is not something that we've seen from Nintendo very often, but it's actually working out quite well. Lee Sin was not a champion that he was known to play very much in his LCS days, but it's a champion that he's definitely picked up recently, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes ahead and picks it up here with Jarvan banned.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense if he does go for that one. Obviously, the Rengar off the table as well. They don't have to pick the jungler just yet. I would expect at least in at some point between these two, but again, it's kind of that, let's prioritize something else. The Janna makes a lot of sense. They've wanted body drop on a champion like that. Braum was a pretty big one for him, but all the same, they're going to need a little extra mobility as well to get involved in these fights. And I also think that the Syndra is a great pickup to start, but it once again telegraphs a strategy.
Yeah, Janna is sort of the unsung hero of a lot of team comps. You don't really notice her doing much except the Monsoons, but she really does a great job of sort of improving the longevity of your team fights and longevity of your carries, specifically your AD carry. Chunky Fresh did a fantastic job, and that's something that we didn't really talk about since he's a new support player. Subbing in for Glebe Glarbu really did a great job, and so Enemy decides, let's take that Janna away.
Yep, they do go ahead and grab that one, and it might actually be a support swap looking for Chunky Fresh's Braum. That's actually the only support we saw him on in the scrims that he played, with Team Fusion as well. So, so it's going to be a pretty interesting lineup for this team. I think they have a pretty good amount of isolation once again. Yeah. But this time, knowing what they were able to do last game with a lot of pickoff, you have to know Enemy's going to play this out a little bit safer, even if it's not really their style. Yeah, Wolf sort of struggled a little bit last game on the Syndra, but he's going to pick it up again. And Nintendo's heading over with that Kha'Zix. I said Lee Sin, I wouldn't be surprised, especially taking away from Inori, but Kha'Zix makes a lot of sense with how their team likes to play, with that sort of explosive mid-game, especially combined with the Corki. And they pick up the Braum as well. Now, Graves is something that we've actually seen pick up a lot of steam in this tournament, as well as just in League of Legends in general. Graves is starting to become a lot more popular pick.
And Wolf, we didn't talk about it, but he's got that pocket Vel'Koz pick. Refers to himself as the best Vel'Koz NA.
Yeah, I remember when he was back on Area of Effect, he never got to play it because Elements always wanted to do it in the support role. Yeah, now, okay, they're cycling over to Skarner too, but, if they did go back to it, it brings a lot of interesting possibilities.
Yep.
We have seen some crazy stuff depending on where you are in the world. The Syndra support has been done. I doubt they'd take it to the top lane, but when you're getting a game like that just happen to you, you've got to be able to answer back with something completely unexpected. And, well, they're thinking about it. No, I think it's going to swap over to Pantheon. That could be a pretty solid pick.
Wow.
Although I am surprised there's no Lee Sin.
I'm actually very surprised that there's no Lee Sin in this game. Inori, especially throughout the Black Monster Cup, which is probably the only other challenger tournament that's existed between the last NACS and this expansion tournament, Inori played a lot of Lee Sin, and I definitely regarded it as one of his strongest champions. He played very aggressively, got a lot of successful early ganks off, a lot of successful early counter jungling off. Pantheon sort of fits that bill the same way. Those level 2 Pantheon ganks are something that you never can put past the Pantheon. Red buff right to mid lane can be really deadly. And so we'll have to see how Inori is gonna play that, because Pantheon is a champion that can fall behind and really just fall flat on his face if he doesn't get ahead early.
Yeah, and on the same note, Fusion is going for a pretty good all-in gambit if they take these last 2 picks. We've mentioned how Hui kind of has a very overly aggressive style. Fizz fits the bill very well here. And then if MacNoon gets the Poppy again, they can just do it all over again. That's what they're looking for right here. And it looks like they will lock those in. This is a very similar comp for Fusion. They're feeling confident.
So they basically, Zed and Fizz are sort of interchangeable for Hui in that mid lane. We saw the Fizz ban last game, which is, I think, even a higher impact pick for him. I think he actually plays more Fizz games than he does Zed. But they sort of fit that same bill, and that's just going to be the same type of thing. We don't have as tanky of a jungler, but they sacrifice the tankiness of the jungler for the tankiness of the support. So they're still going to have MacNoon and Chunky Fresh in the middle of that team fight, draw on fire, so that way Niantanto can just come in from the backside and just wreak havoc.
Yeah, and he shouldn't have too much trouble with that as well. Now, this time, Otter's going to stay a little bit safer on the Lucian pickup. It also makes a lot of sense to try something a little bit different. Cax falling back onto Aurelia.
Yep.
Should have an easier time in a traditional lane, but if they decide for a swap again, Fusion instigated that one. It's going to be a pretty explosive start if they do it again, and I think Enemy, they have to be the ones running the tempo because they let Fusion just run all over them last time.
Yeah, they got to have a different game plan going in because it definitely didn't work in the last game, but at the same time, they saw what MacNoon can do when he's behind. Imagine what MacNoon can do when he's ahead on that Poppy. So the Aurelia might be a little bit better of a choice for it, but we'll have to see.
It's going to be a pretty terrifying time. Nonetheless, we saw him once. We'll see him again, but we want to know what you guys think. Go ahead, tweet us at LOL Esports using the hashtag LCS expansion to let us know your predictions, your prophecies, and what you think of that Poppy pick.
Yeah, 2 games in a row. That's not something that I've seen, I think, ever in the history of
competitive
forever.
league.
In the history of
forever and ever.
The history of forever and ever. I have never seen the double Poppy pick. Usually if someone says, oh, we might as well just ban it out. But Enemy says, hey, we think we can deal with it. And MacNoon says, well, I don't think so.
My guess was that they just had no expectation even a second time. Oh, he's not going to do that again. He's been playing Sion. Nope, we're back to Poppy. Okay, here we go on to Summoner's Rift. 1 game in the bag for Fusion, and they are looking strong out the gates on the blue side this time. But Enemy, they're not down and out yet. This is a team that has quite a few tricks up their sleeve in the aggression department.
Yeah, and I think that Enemy is going to want to have a lot crisper of an early game. I mentioned that sometimes when they don't really get ahead so much, they falter a little bit. That's something that we saw in their run through that Black Monster Cup, is that if they didn't end the game real early, then they had a lot of trouble closing it out, and it seemed like that was the case last game. They just couldn't find a foothold in that game. Fusion did a great job of just sort of suffocating them out.
Inori playing with fire there, nearly checks into the death brush. And Fusion just says, we're going to muscle our way into your jungle. It's going to prompt Body Drop and friends to move down towards this bot side, getting themselves a little bit of deep warding out as well. So this looks like they might want to prepare for potential lane swap, or at least spot out what's going to happen. Meanwhile, everyone's on the other side of the map.
Yeah, this game, Fusion's level 1 is absurd. Corki, Braum, and Poppy are all pretty fantastic at level 1, so they have absolutely no fear just roaming through this entire enemy jungle and just getting whatever vision they want.
And it makes a lot of sense that they pick a comp that does that as well to try and stop enemies' signature early game play. And the level 1 is incredibly important when two teams want to be this bloody.
Yeah. So they're really trying to come up with a plan here. They're basically living on the red side jungle of enemy eSports here, and just trying to get that red buff. That could set Pantheon behind quite a bit if he's not able to spot out what they're doing. But you can see enemy does have vision to this. They're going to be able to react accordingly. And a very similar start as we saw last game.
Yep, go ahead and trade in those buffs. Now, MacNoon going to teleport down to the bottom side, and you already can see CatGod predicting it, making a move for the traditional lane, and this time they won't be caught too far off guard. Nintendude picking up that red buff to start it off. Everything else, pretty normal.
Yeah, this is MacNoon reacting really well, better than last game, and adapting to what happened last game, because last game, he sort of got a little bit farm with his jungler and then teleport down to the bot lane, but this time he says, okay, as soon as I see that both teams are lane swapping, I'm going to hit down there to not give them any chance of being able to dive me early on and shut me down. So CatGod's still doing a great job, though. This is exactly how you play that poppy lane. It's just make sure you try and do your best to deny the CS from them early and make their life hard.
Yeah, doing their best to do that exactly as you mentioned. Now Nien might be in a bit of trouble as well. Wow, they popped the Ignite on him, forcing the heal, and he's going to flash. Otter, though, exhausted. He's in tower range, taking all the shots, stunned up. Chunky Fresh. Oh, my goodness, that's going to be first blood going to Braum.
Yeah, that's just a little bit of oversight on Otter's part, and that's something that you can't afford to do early on, is give them that kill. He had to have expected the Antonsa to be able to flash, and that Lightbringer still has that delay, and MacNoon's in trouble.
Speaking of junglers, yep, MacNoon on the run now with the Nori here. CatGod going to Blade Surge on forward, get the slow off with Equilibrium Strike, but can he run away? Man, that Yordle can go fast for short legs.
Yeah, popping that W, able to run.
We might be here a while.
Pretty fast, yeah. And Nori, he does not have the flash anymore, so I'm not
Doesn't want to give this
up.
up.
He's
going
gonna
to get the jump off. There we go. Blade Surge. They might just have enough damage. One more tick. It's CatGod picking him up, but that was quite a delay, and he's missing out some CS.
Yeah, that was a marathon that those guys ran. They ended up all the way back by their own inhibitor turrets there, but MacNoon wasn't really going to be able to escape from that, so he's going to fall earlier. And that's very similar to last game, but
I want to give him the execute.
Yeah, don't want to give him the execute at all. And they probably could have done it without CatGod falling all the way down there, but making sure they secure that kill, making sure MacNoon cannot get ahead in this game. They might even try to focus him even more than last game to set him behind.
Yep, and Huhi now stunned up, can actually go in on Wolf right now, but it's a jungle fight on jungle fight. Wolf actually will go down first, Huhi picking him up. Teleport coming in as they bring CatGod to the party, but Nintendude is already back under tower.
Yeah, so they end up picking up the kill onto Wolf. I think he went a little bit too hard for that kill. As soon as they saw Nintendude coming in, they probably should have backed off. But that's Hui's aggression right there. As soon as Wolf went aggressive, he went aggressive right back onto him, despite there being a jungler there. And it pays off for him. He's not only ahead of a Syndra in CS, who's known to be a pretty good bully, at least early on, to Fizz, but at the same time, he also picks up the kill. So Wolf might have another tough game under his belt in that mid lane.
And now Otter trying to push Nien in, but they've already been punished for that over-aggression. Not just one, but two lanes now. Tower going to be under siege, but everyone on Fusion is holding steady with 1,000 gold in the lead. May not mean that much, but at 5 minutes in, pretty solid margin.
Yeah, that's a really solid margin. That's a lot better than they did last game, and their mid-game comp is really good. And Nori has done an okay job of applying pressure, but 0-0-1, and he still only has the machete. Pantheon has a lot of trouble farming the jungle early on and keeping up with farm, especially at Kha'Zix. So he's really in a position where he has to try and make moves. And that's where I said it's possible for Pantheon to fall flat on his face if he's not able to get out those early ganks.
Yep, he's certainly trying right now, but this is a total telegraph as Otter and Body Drop have been pushing up incessantly. Backing off right now says, hey, my jungler's in the brush, and Chunky Fresh and Nien know exactly what is up.
Yeah, and they're playing this lane really well. I guess that telegraph gank could be on the back of their mind, but this is so much wasted time by Nori up here, and Nintanso and Chunky are just not giving enemy an inch here. They're harassing when they can, but not overstaying their welcome. Going to pop the ward in the bush, and that's whatever, that 45 seconds that he just wasted. Now he's just going to have to back off, and this is a rough spot because Nintendo's just been farming in Nori's jungle while he's been waiting up there.
Yeah, not only that, he's popping a couple wards down. He's going to have complete vision of that one. So again, Nintendude really getting around a lot more effectively than Nori has this game, and it really makes you wonder about this Pantheon pick. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, MacNoon says, come at me. and he chases CatGod around with that level advantage, but Cax is returning some fire as well.
Yeah, and Magnoon is actually coming out ahead because of CatGod teleporting in the mid lane, because of him having to chase Magnoon all the way across his own map. He hasn't really had time to farm by himself, whereas Magnoon has. So despite being down a kill, once again, Magnoon is putting himself in a great spot going into this mid game, and it's so hard to duel a Poppy, especially when that level 5 to level 6 mark, just because, again, he takes less damage when he gets lower, and as soon as he pops that diplomatic immunity, you have to be really careful because he can dish out some real damage.
Yep, it's certainly been a troubling thing right now. Now Fusion going to jump in onto Otter. He's going to have to dash away, but he's got that extra speed boost. With Nintendude revealed, they'll be able to get out safely. Whoop! Huhi going to jump over Wolf, and his could be trouble right now. Chum the Water's down, going to get it, biting him, and that could be one more hit. I don't know, though. Huhi, he goes way too far forward, and Wolf unleashes the power, picks him up.
Yeah, Huhi just sort of ran out of juice there, and Wolf was able to pick up that kill. But, I mean, that's just how Huhi likes to play. He's going to fall a little bit behind now, but I think he should still be in a fine position. There's just action happening all the way across the map.
Yep, someone hit a switch and go. Chunky Fresh and Nien. Tanso going to find body drop here. Almost melt. The heal's already out. They're going to turn for Otter, but it's already in tower range. It's so close, so brutal, and they've gotten away without casualties here. Both these teams seem to have stepped up this game, but Magnoon has to be careful. He's pretty low on the health.
Yeah, I really respect the patience here by Nien Tanso. He showed it in both games. He's not willing to make those super aggressive, risky moves like we saw Otter, who flashed into the turret early game to try and get that kill. He probably could have gotten the kill on the body drop if he had flashed in, but he stayed back, took that trade advantage that he got, and is just willing to sit there and care for the mid game. Whoa,
yeah, they're going to find Magnoon, though. Yeah, Nori. Oh, boy. He's pretty low. He's going to flash forward for it. Wow. Did spend that one, but he managed to pick off the Poppy all the same. And yeah, Magnoon, again, he's unafraid to even trade 1v2s.
This is deja vu, man, because the second death in the last game happened in almost the exact same spot while he was doing the exact same thing. But the name of the game for Magnoon on Poppy is map pressure, is game pressure, and he is doing exactly that. And, I mean, it worked for Fusion last time incredibly well. Why shouldn't it work this time? And Fusion has a slight lead in this game, but it seems like they're controlling the pace a little bit more. The only reason that enemy is still staying in it is because Wolf is doing a great job of being able to solo out Huhi in the mid.
Yep, and Huhi now, as you mentioned, been shoved back. The level advantage is really meaning a lot in this extended. It feels like an extended laning phase just because these two teams are so aggressive, knocking down the towers early. This is the most normal game we probably could have expected from them after that first start.
Yeah, at this point in the last game, I think we had close to 10 kills. Right now it's 5, so while there's more kills in this game than we see in a lot of other Challenger series, it's still a low-kill game for how these teams usually like to play. And Nori, he sort of resorted to farming his jungle, which is sort of that point on Pantheon where you're like, okay, I concede. I'm just going to try and farm my jungle, get 6 as quick as possible, and then try and make an impact. But that's a really big deal that he wasn't able to make something happen earlier.
Mm-hmm. And everybody is getting bullied out just a little bit. You see Cax have Dragon will get started up actually a little bit late for Fusion standards as Huhi intended to come to the party. You can see Huhi just saving
Grand Skyfall's available.
Oh boy. He might come in.
There he's coming.
He's thinking about it. This Dragon could fall pretty quickly, but again, you can see everyone able to dodge out. This raw mechanical skill that everyone on Fusion has been saving them quite a bit, but they do have to back away from Dragon here.
Very smart.
Enemy is really making their presence known. They're going to find Nien, actually. He's going to have to Valk away, unleash the power. Won't be enough damage, but they did manage to deter him away from this. And now they'll try to control the map just a little bit more from here, wrestling it back from the clutches of Fusion.
Once again, very smart, patient play from Fusion. They're willing to make aggressive plays, but they also know when they're a little too far away. They saw, hey, that Grand Skyfall is probably up. We could probably take this Dragon, but we don't want to put it up to a 50-50. What a flash.
Yeah, Wolf just, he says, I got mechanics too. Now Huhi actually having to flash away. You could see he's been dodging and weaving all over those Scatter the Weaks, but it's Wolf who's also got a few tricks up his sleeve. So those two mid laners really trading out nice and well without any casualties here. Tower going to be fired down for just a second by Otter and body drop, but Nien, Chunky are in range to defend.
I think that's a little bit of a misplay by Huhi. If he was paying attention to the last fight, Wolf actually used that Syndra ultimate to try and take down Nien, so he knew it wasn't up, so he didn't really have much threat of dying. But once again,
CatGod, he could be in trouble, but Magnoon's actually taking a lot of tower shots there. The diplomatic immunity does not extend to turrets. And with Inori in the group as well, they're able to deter him off that, but he wants round number 2. Oh boy.
Oh, he's going in.
That's gotta hurt.
Okay, he's good. That's McNoon.
That's McNoon.
Freedom.
Now, who he's still dodging away from everything Wolf can throw at him, but it's just been so close every time. The gold is actually really, really even here, but again, enemies' win conditions are always this. You need to get little edges and then turn them into big leads to close out the game about 20, 25 minutes in. They have not had a chance to do that. They've been behind both of these games. It's no different.
Yeah, this time it's going to be a little bit tougher for them to get back to a game if they get behind. It was tough for them last game, but they don't have that sivir for the engages or the disengages. Pantheon could fall off a little bit if he keeps going at the pace that he's going right now, because Nintendo's just going to be able to out-farm him left and right. Now, Nintendo's been trying a lot to control the vision on the map, so he's been falling a little bit behind in farm. But at the same time, it seems like Fusion is still comfortable with the position they're in this game. But enemies feeling confident, they're going to be the ones to start this dragon, which being on red side probably gives an advantage. Nintendo's going to look for a steal.
Yeah, he has the flash to get in and out if he wants to. And oh my goodness, he takes it on a W. What?
Wow. Oh, wow. The zoom in, look at him swagging away.
That's how you do. He's bugging out, actually.
Bugging out, yeah. So Inori missing that smite a little bit. I thought we saw St. Vicious play yesterday.
Oh, that's a low blow, man.
Ooh. He actually missed one yesterday, too.
He did.
Sorry, Saint.
We still love you. Now, watching him and Wolf go at each other in this mid lane, I actually don't want the laning phase to end because it's just been beautiful. It's like two dance partners, except they want to kill each other.
Yeah, and that's why these teams are so exciting to watch. And this game has been, or this match has been really exciting as well. Two teams that are not afraid at all to make aggressive moves. Two mid-game focused teams. Oh, there it comes!
Speaking of aggressive moves, yep. Inori's looking to mix it up now. Chunky Fresh, he knows that he doesn't have anywhere to go, but it's Body Drop who's actually taking up the shots. They can cancel this teleport. It actually cancels itself. McNoon says no thank you. Chunky on the run, but he's going to the wrong base right now. Looks like it could only be a matter of time. And this, I think we've seen this before. Yep. Braum's pretty tanky, but they will be able to polish him up. Or maybe not. Wow, nice flash away. He's really dedicated to running out of here, but I don't think he's got much places to go, many places to go.
So we're just going to pan away from him.
Let's
we'll
just
get back
assume
to that story in a few minutes.
Actually, he might just escape.
Wolf's coming in from the side, though.
Goodbye.
Puts him in the turret range. Okay, picks up the kill.
Meanwhile, Nintendude hanging out on the top. Cax knows he can't go far for this one, so McNoon's actually just going. This is like the tower sieging guard right here.
Oh, as soon as he gets close, I know that Nintendude's not going to be hesitating to go in, but Wolf's coming in for the backup.
Yep, and they have to see this one coming. It's going to be a 2v2, but how's it going to turn out? Cax actually, he's going to take the fight. McNoon says, let's go. Wolf now didn't expect the bug, and McNoon's actually going to run for Wolf. No damage able to. Oh my goodness! Hello, that's who he coming in, but it's McNoon getting the kill now. CatGod running back to the safety of his tower. Blade Surge onto a minion, running away, but they've been running to the wrong base. Both teams now. Cax is gonna melt. That's a double kill for McNoon, and they juggle the aggro. Nintendude is able to get away.
Yeah, and that's just the jungle positioning being a little better. You could tell Fusion was planning that for a while. They had Hui on standby to make sure that, hey, if this gets sketchy, we need you to come in. Whereas they knew Inori was on the bottom side of the map with no Grand Skyfall available, so a very calculated dive from Fusion, and they're starting to pick up some momentum here. That Dragon Steal, at this point in the game, that's huge, because that's what's mostly giving them their gold lead right now.
Yeah, they've needed it now, and they need to stay alive here. Body Drop in a lot of trouble. Monsoon is on, but he's still burning away. The Summoner heal burn, and Body Drop will just make it out, but this tower is not going to last very long. In an even-numbered matchup, Fusion just keeps coming out on top.
Yeah, the one thing that they have to recognize, though, is Inori's actually getting some free farm down that bot lane, so that's going to sort of remedy some of the scaling issues that Pantheon might have, but they're giving up so much on the rest of the map that it might not even be worth it at this point in the game. They need Inori to be there for these fights, for these skirmishes, because that's where Pantheon shines. He's starting to get to the point where he's reaching that power spike where he's going to start dipping really far down, so he needs to make sure that he's available for his team when they need him, because they really don't want to get steamrolled by Fusion and snowballed like they did in the last game.
Yeah, Fusion knows that they can keep going like this for a long time. They can keep pushing their edge and just trying to take enemy out in a slow, calculated way just because they have that better engagement, that better skirmish. On the other hand, enemy, as you mentioned, they have a ticking timer. However, they have kept relevant here. They're only down about 2,000 gold. Yes, it's pretty early, so that's still a significant margin, but if they can keep up the pace, they have decent scaling with the exception of the Pantheon, with the exception of the Lucian. They still have a lot of damage in their back pocket. They might have to rely a lot on Cax, though, going forward, and I don't know if they want to do that.
Yeah, CatGod, though, we mentioned the top lane is the featured matchup. I think the top laners for both of these teams are probably the strong points for these guys. So, and Aurelia probably a little bit more of a champion that you can rely on than Maokai.
MacNoon.
Oh.
He goes in for the flank, and then he just kind of walks on
Yeah.
through. Once again, going wherever he feels like. It's a mini Mundo, kind of.
Yeah, the miniature Mundo. It's MacNoon's version of Mundo.
MacMundo?
MacMundo. Oh, where's he going?
Hello, Nien. Let's falk away from that one as the Grand Skyfall comes in, clearing a couple of waves, so they do their best to save some towers. Now, body drop caught between Chunky and Nien. He might not have anywhere to go. Now, Nintendo jumping on in. Relentless pursuit away, rather. Otter's going to have to blow his flash as well. Now, Huhi's made it as well. This is just the collapse repeatedly from Fusion. They keep doing this, and maybe they're not getting a whole lot of kills out of it, but they're forcing those key summoners. Enemy can't fight from here.
Yeah, they're forcing the enemy onto their back foot, which is exactly what they did in the last game and exactly what they know they need to do to win. I'm kind of hoping that enemy is able to stay in this game without getting too far behind for a lot longer so we can see if Fusion is versatile enough to be able to close out in a very late game close situation. But at the same time, Fusion's doing a great job right now, but Huhi could be caught out.
Oh, yes, he could. That's going to be CatGod picking him up, the 1-2 punch with the unleashed power from Wolf, and now chasing down MacNoon. He was just a little bit too late to the party, and he's still going down. Whoa, Wolf, bitten off a little more than he could chew there. That's MacNoon on a rampage already. Meanwhile, the jungler's going to duke it out. It's not a team fight, it's a slugfest.
Yeah, and MacNoon is still just running around. He's going to be able to
go
pick up
for
the kill
it.
on Inori as well.
Okay, that is 2 for 2, but man, was that a little bit bloody. Now Nien has joined the crew in the middle. The supports are coming in as well. I think they feel a little left out. Now CatGod going to jump onto Chunky Fresh, but he's getting chunked out just a little bit himself. Otter, he's going to be able to get the piercing light out. Nien moving around. Man, I can't even catch these fast enough.
Yeah.
It's just 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and a lot of individual effort, especially from Fusion, netting them that even score.
MacNoon has that blood radar going on in his head right now. As soon as he sees someone low health on the map, he just says, you know what? Screw whatever I'm doing right now. I'm going for that guy. And that's exactly what he did in that fight. He probably could have dueled out CatGod for a little bit longer, but he said, you know what? Inori's diving my mid laner. I sense a free kill. I'm going down for that. And I mean, 4-2-1 this game. Already finished that Trinity Force even a little bit faster than last game, I do believe. So Fusion's still holding on to about a 2K gold lead, but whoa!
I don't know if it's going to be for long now. Wolf, they land the chum the waters. Nien does eat a face full of unleashed power, but it doesn't even matter. Already Wolf is down. And Fusion could be looking for this dragon. They don't seem too interested just yet, as they've got a pretty big minion wave built up to this mid side.
Yeah, they got so much pressure on that mid lane right now with that wave. They're going to be able to take this mid turret and then go straight to dragon. Also going to get a blue buff as a consolation prize. So that seems to be how Fusion operates. They control that mid portion of the map. They look for picks. As soon as they get a pick, they know exactly what they need to do, capitalizing on those objectives. And now, all of a sudden, they explode into that 4,000 gold lead area, 5,000 even with the top lane. So this game just got broken wide open.
Yep, couple of towers, blue buff, and a dragon. Whoa. They grab everything. And Huhi now running away from Otter and body drop. They're staying as safe as they can, but Inori's going to look for the zone. He's not going to land in time. Actually, positioning could have been a little bit better there, and Huhi will be able to get out, but again, it always seems like enemy just a step or two behind these Fusion rotations.
Yeah, he whipped that one a little bit. Those Grand Skyfalls have been a little bit underwhelming.
Uh-oh, suddenly there comes a MacNoon. CatGod trying to duel him out, but that blue buff looking tasty, and he wants to find a diplomatic immunity zone. Not going to stop the towers, but it doesn't even matter. He picks him off. The stun wears away, and MacNoon walks away happy.
Yeah, MacNoon would definitely be the scariest Pokemon to find in that tall grass, so he's going to pick up another kill for himself, and it's just so hard for them to deal with them right now.
I don't know, though. Wow, he's actually going to spend the unleashed power, so Wolf able to take him down to follow up. Meanwhile, Huhi dueling with not just body drop and Otter, but Inori now joining the party. It prompts him to run right away from that. It has been a lot of trades back and forth, but again, the tower pushing has so far been for Fusion. We'll see if enemy can answer back here. They've got a small wave, a bigger one behind, but they don't want to deal with that fish.
Yeah, they probably could have afforded to push a little bit harder down that bot lane. They should have known that Nintendo was up top and that MacNoon is dead. So there's not much they could have done to defend against that little push, but they're going to go ahead and back off, play it safe. At this point, they're not far enough behind to where they have to get desperate, but they're just far enough behind where they have to make sure that they play safe.
An enemy definitely adapting a little bit better this game
Whoa,
than they were able to last time. But hey,
up.
Suddenly Teleport Poppy Wolf is getting nightmares, deja vu all over again, but he's able to deter him for just a moment. Okay, that's fine. I'll find myself a Janna. Body drop in trouble. Gonna get the Howling Gale off, and that's gonna deter both MacNoon and Huhi from jumping on that one, but you can just see the burst damage that he's bringing.
Absolutely no hesitation.
Oh, wait a minute.
Teleport.
Speaking of no hesitation, CatGod says, whatever you can do, I can do better. Jumps in, but he doesn't have the damage output. MacNoon walking away from it.
Yeah, this is definitely a slugfest happening right now. These teams, zero hesitation in going in on these team fights, and a lot of the times you see top laners trying,
here we go
Grand
again.
Skyfall.
He's going to get a little far behind. Nien does have an escape path, but Inori in hot pursuit right now. Can Nien valk away? Yes, he can, to join Chunky Fresh and the crew. And they are just doing everything they can to just run enemy around the map.
Yeah, Inori seems like he's...
Oh, they're going to jump in. CatGod might have walked into a trap, but Nintendo's already low. The heal's out. Cax, he's going to be able to pop the kill. It's actually Body Drop picking it up, but they are going to follow up onto Wolf. Otter's here. Inori, Body Drop. They can zone around. Wow, they're already starting to melt, though. Wolf's down. Chunky Fresh taking up all the damage, and Fusion somehow able to come back and keep this one going. Otter's going to get Chunky, but it may just be a consolation prize. Double kill going over to MacNoon, and they're looking for a Body Drop. Can he pick the triple? He's certainly going to chase for it, and he'll just get out of tower range. Oh, my goodness, Huhi. Oh, boy. Okay. That's enough, boys.
Yeah, so that ends up being a 3-for-2 trade in favor of Fusion. So not the biggest victory, but they're still just pulling so far ahead in this game. The pressure that they're applying on the map, you said it correctly, they're just sort of pulling enemy all the way across both sides of the map. It's forcing Inori to try and make those big Grand Skyfall plays, but I think he's pulling the trigger a little too quickly. And I said it once and I'll say it again, they've been very underwhelming, and he needs to sort of make high-impact ultimates for enemy to be able to have any chance of coming back in this game. But Fusion, once again, looks like they have absolutely no intentions of letting up.
Absolutely not. Enemy has a few options here to try and go forward, but you can just see how fearless Fusion is. Those low health bars, they take away the red. They say, they can't answer back on us. It doesn't even matter. So now, heading back to base, nice and safe. Their diving has really known no bounds this game, and they just continue to push forward. I feel like this is the kind of team you buy an Ohm Wrecker for.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, Poppy, you can once you get that Trinity Force, that Yuma's Ghostblade, you can really just build anything.
Yeah, 6 items, it's whatever. It's free.
Yeah. And
you don't need that many slots.
I wouldn't put it past MacNoon, because turret dives are sort of his thing.
The signature, if you will.
The signature.
Well, wherever the enemy team is, he certainly finds them, and speaking of enemy, they're trying to wrestle a little bit more control back. Drake's up in 1.5 minutes. That will be the next thing to fight over. However, at this point, they have to be careful not to let it get stolen away. Nintendo didn't even need a smite last time.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a rough steal for Nori. I'm sure that shook him up just a little bit, but can't let it shake you up that much because they still got a chance in this game. They're really far behind, but it's still anybody's game at this point. It's Fusion's game to lose, but it's still anybody's game, and they really got to find a way to deal with MacNoon. He's got 7 kills right now.
Yeah, Fusion definitely, though, going pretty hard for this outer turret, or this inner turret, rather. They're going to jump for it, and they have a little bit of a wave. Not able to take it down. Otter's going to clear the wave away. Inori on the other side. They will grab themselves a blue, but Inori might not last very long here. Nintendo, he's jumping in. Up, tag team. Let's take him down. It's actually Huhi picking him up, but MacNoon was there as well.
Look at this vision. All in enemy's jungle right now. Fusion has complete control over the map. They don't even care about the Baron right now just because they're getting so much out of just controlling the vision in the jungle, rotating from lane to lane, picking up picks and picking up turrets. And picks has been sort of the name of the game for Fusion right now. They have the team for it, and they have the playstyle for it as a team as well. MacNoon just facilitating so many kills across the map.
Well, they're just picking towers at this point. They've been able to do so much, just like they were in the last game, suddenly closing the net, and enemy finding themselves a couple of members down. It just has been on repeat. So now, Fusion looking to take down this inner turret once again, but everyone from enemy is there, and there's a wave pushing against them in the top side.
Yeah, enemy is just, they're scrambling right now. That's probably the best word to describe it. They're just scrambling around the map, trying to get what vision they can, pick up any sort of advantage that they can get, but it's slim pickings.
Here we go. They want to try the fight, but CatGod's already got the Chum the Waters on him. MacNoon going on in diplomatic immunity, and Wolf is down. They're trying to save their lives. Body Drop having to cancel it out. They do get a double kill for Nien, though, and they're jumping all over enemy. That's a triple kill. Can Nien get more? It looks like MacNoon's going to pick one up, but a quadra kill going over to Nien Tanso. Double buffs to boot.
A quadra kill again, this time over to Nien Tanso, and that was one of the quickest aces I've seen in a mid-game team comp. They just have so much snowball potential in these fights. They have absolutely no way to deal with MacNoon. He's just wreaking havoc. and Nantanzo's putting out so much damage as well. I just don't see any way for any to be able to deal with these team fights. They had an okay start of that fight. All of the damage was put onto CatGod, which is the champion that they wanted to be on in this game, but they still, it looked like they didn't have a chance to win that fight.
Yeah, and when, you know, McNoon putting on those walking shoes, he's going to teleport up to the top, and of course they will be able to take down this Baron quite easily. Enemy just has not been able to find any sort of fight. They're so far but down. The Grand Skyfall is going to come in, but this is just going to be a sacrifice. And Nori, he can't even pick up a kill. That's another one picked up by McNoon. Nien going to melt body drop,
burst.
and hello, goodbye, back to Fountain.
He gets the crit and just absolutely obliterates body drop in. Fusion's just starting to run away with this game.
You can see the crack starting to show here. Enemy just having really no way to get back into this one. They're down 15,000 gold the mid game. This is their nightmare. They do not want to have to deal with this kind of thing. CatGod is going to be their only hope if this game continues the way it is.
Yeah, he's got a couple kills under his belt, but really, I mean, look at their items across the board for enemy. They're so far behind. Huhi in the mid lane for Fusion has 2 full items, got that Lich Bane and that Zhonya's Hourglass, plus the blue pot. He's got his core going on right now, whereas Wolf, he's struggling to finish his second item at this point. CatGod only has the Trinity Force, doesn't even have level 2 boots, where McNoon, he's going towards that Infinity Edge. Trinity Force, Yuma's Ghostblade. He's monstrous right now.
And also, we can talk a little bit about the way that they've positioned as well, because you see they're doing the same thing they did last time. Nintendo X jumps in, tries to set up the fight, and just sort of becomes the target. Says, okay, target me, focus me. That's perfectly fine. Exactly. And they've let Nien just run rampant. They've let McNoon zone out anybody else who might be a threat. And there's also Huhi and Chunky, veritable frontline, as well as another assassin. There's so many threats on this team. Enemy doesn't know who to target. Now Chunky's going to get stunned up for just a second, but Fusion out-rotating here. They'll be able to take out this last inner turret. Up next, it's the inhibitor turrets, and then enemy's base. They have to be able to defend here, but what can they do?
There's not much that they can do. Their wave clear is only okay. Outside of the culling, they're going to have a lot of trouble clearing it. But McNoon,
oh, he's going all the way for Fountain. Whoa, that burst! They're going forward. They just want to end it right here, right now. McNoon getting pushed back by the big monsoon, but it may not be enough. CatGod could be in a little bit of trouble here. They don't even take the tower. They're going to pick it off finally. Chunky Fresh still staying alive, and they're going in for round number 2. Huhi now jumping on. He finds body drop. They're chasing him all the way back to Fountain. It's only Wolf and Inori standing. Wolf nearly going down. Gonna heal up one more. McNoon going for the dive, and he picks him off the Fountain.
McNoon is just going off in these 2 games on this Poppy. Finishes the Infinity Edge. Now, this is ridiculous. Double-digit kills in both of these games on Poppy. What a high-impact player McNoon has been in this series. And Infusion is just showing dominance right now in this round of 8.
Yep, and they don't try to end it just here. They're going to actually try to get on out.
Desperation.
Chunky's going to get jumped on by Inori, but they don't have any backup here. He's just trying to buy time, stop the ports, but he takes so much poke, and they don't have an answer.
Yeah, they're just trying to pick up whatever they can right now because they're on their last line of defense. Only 1 Nexus turret left, and Fusion just a couple more kills, and they could just push in and end the game. McNoon is showing no hesitation in diving past these turrets.
They just melt Cat.
Exploded.
Once again, he's down. It's Huhi on a spree. He manages to take down body drop, and Otter falls to Nintendo X. They can't even leave their base at this point. Wolf, he might be the last hope to try and salvage something here. He's going to find Chunky. There's Inori. They're going to get a little bit back. Nien and Tanso's going to finally go down. That's the first death he's had all game.
So they stay alive for a little bit longer, but how much longer is it? Because Fusion is just not letting up.
Effort. They're going to try.
Oh, there's a diplomatic immunity.
Oh my goodness, Wolf. He's got to run away, but he's got nowhere to go. McNoon, he says, I can take you all over again. He gets the double kill, and he gets out. McNoon, how about that with the ace?
With a sliver of health, just goes into a legitimate 2v1 and picks up his 12th and 13th kill of the game. He is unstoppable at this point.
I think he's godlike, actually.
Godlike. Yeah,
McNoon.
He's all of it. He's godlike, unstoppable. He's just everything at this point in the game. And wow, this is just an impressive thing to watch.
If you had told me at the start of today that we'd see McNoon with 13 kills on a Poppy in 2 games, well, at this point, I probably should just say, yeah, okay, that's McNoon. But yeah, I cannot believe this performance.
I thought to myself, wow, what a surprising pick. But then I think about it. You know, to think about it, maybe not. But it's not just McNoon in these games. Fusion has just really stepped it up Chunky Fresh coming in as a fresh support, replacing Gligabu. Not much time to practice, and he's really shown through being that great support for his team. And this is just probably going to end here pretty soon for Enemy. I mean, you can't count him out yet. It's a 20K gold lead, but stranger things have happened in the world. It's just going to be really tough for them to claw their way back.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's not really just been MacNoon. They do work together as a unit. We hadn't seen too much of their play before today, but Nintendo X has been leading that charge. They've had Chunky able to get...
Okay.
Yeah, well, Hui's having a fun time, too.
Yeah.
He does, win or lose, he just wants to have a good time.
All right, we need a MacNoon tracker. Where is he?
Oh,
okay,
boy.
He's pushing up the mid lane. It's only going to be a matter of time before he goes in somewhere.
He's drawing two people here, and this is Fusion just saying, you can't deal with all of us, you can barely deal with some of us.
They need more than two to deal with him.
They're going to go for this. I mean, okay, so there we go. They clear the waves. They've definitely got it after the fact, but they have to deal with the super minions on top. They can't hold out forever. And MacNoon, again, wherever he goes, they have to send at least two to deal with him.
Yeah. And Inori actually, it looked like he was starting to try to go for that Grand Skyfall, but thought twice about it. I mean, it's just going to be really hard for them to find a point where they can pull the trigger. At this point, even if they get a perfect engage, it's still going to be so tough for them to win a fight.
Oh, Wolf, they might find him. He wanders into the waters, and that's not going to be enough to keep him alive. Body drop with the Monsoon. He's running away from this one. Inori, he gets Nintendo though, but MacNoon is in the base. Otter, wow, what's half his bar? I can't believe it. Body drop. He might fall down too. Yes, he does. Double kill for MacNoon. Finally shut down by CatGod, but all the same, Hui's on the chase. The super minions are in the base, and I don't think there's anything Enemy can do to come back from this one. Cax, you might be the only hope, but you might be dead in just a moment. Hui playing with his food, and he might just have this ace.
And he concedes it over, and with that kill, that should solidify Fusion's victory over Enemy eSports, 2-0, and it looks like Fusion should be moving on, the final team to move on to that Final Four. Wow.
They did it in style. I mean, this game was assured a few minutes ago, but they certainly have been following it up. And again, you look at the fountain dives, they shut down, finally going over to Hui, but rather to Wolf as he gets down Hui. But man, you can't even describe what just happened there. They turned on the gas, they never let up, and Enemy eSports was left in the dust.
Yeah, that was just, we talked about it, Enemy eSports, they're not as rough of a team around the edges as we just saw right there. Fusion just made them look silly at some points in that game. You really got to hand it to them for being able to push so hard at all points in the game. So much map pressure in that early game and mid game, just so much good decision making. And MacNoon was the catalyst in their victories, really just disrupting those team fights up so much, able to get 2v1 with 2 kills later in the game in that second game. And just Fusion probably should be one of the teams to watch going forward into that Final Four.
Absolutely, and it's very rare that a team is able to live up to that much hype, but the individual performance, the team level effort was incredible. Nintendo, excellent kill participation. Yeah. He followed up, he started every single one of those big fights. They found him in the jungle, they found him in the lanes, they found him wherever they wanted. Hui, massive performances, both Zed and Fizz. And Wolf is not at all a terrible player, he's definitely a solid laner.
Yeah.
But to take him down and make him look really not that great.
Yeah.
It was an incredible effort individually. And again, MacNoon just running wild all over this team. And big ups to everybody on the Fusion side. They managed to really just make it look not just easy, but beautiful.
Yeah, and so Enemy eSports run ends there, but Fusion is going to move on. So with that, we can actually go ahead and take a look at the final brackets for this online portion.
Yep, of course, over in Group A, we saw yesterday Final 5 took a 2-0 victory over Complexity Black, knocking that team out, and they will be moving on to the Final 4.
And in Group B, Complexity's chances of making a team into the LCS were shattered when Curse Academy took a decisive 2-0 victory against Complexity White.
Over in Group C, our full bracket there, you saw Team Coast taking a decisive 2-0 lead over Lowpro earlier in the day, and they will be moving on to represent that group in the Final 4.
And of course, Group D, the exciting match that we just watched, Team Fusion takes down Enemy eSports 2-0 in a very explosive matchup.
Now looking forward to the brackets, this is going to be the double elimination, best of 5. It's going to be a LAN event, it's an offline format. It's going to take place a month from now, but it's going to be a lot of exciting matches. You see Final 5 going to take on Fusion there. The winner of that game will take on Curse Academy and Coast Gaming's winner, but of course the losers drop down to another bracket where they can also compete for an LCS spot.
Yeah, so at the end of that bracket, we will have the 2 teams making into the spring split of the 2015 LCS, the winner of the winners bracket and the winner of the losers bracket. And at this point, after seeing some of these teams play, I think you can go to any of these 2 teams, and it should be really exciting to watch that expansion live tournament.
Absolutely. It's going to be a pretty awesome time. We'll also have a live studio audience as well.
Indeed,
it's going to be a pretty cool event. Of course, that's going to take place December 12th through the 14th, and if you'd like to be a part of that audience, you can go over and head to esl.gg/LCSNA expansion to pick up your tickets.
Yeah, and the studios are pretty awesome here. You might even get a chance to meet some of those players, meet some of the casters as well. So definitely check out that event. If you liked what you saw this weekend and the past weekend, there should be only better action to come.
Absolutely. So with all of that wrapped up and done, we're going to be signing off here. So thank you guys for watching. GG and good night.